Howdy. Texas A&M was honored to open the entire 2014 college football season with a game at South Carolina, but very few experts saw Texas A&M pulling off the stunning upset of the number 9 ranked Gamecocks. Now Texas A&M comes home to their first game here at Kyle Field, a renovated stadium that holds over 100,000 people. And the Fighting Texas AGBAND steps out for their first drill of the year. We'll bring you complete coverage of their performance. We'll have our weekly cadet report and 2 new feature stories about the growing membership in the Corps Cadets. Brought to you by our corporate sponsors, BJ's Restaurant and Brew House, and celebrating our 20th consecutive season of broadcast, this is the Texas Aggie Band Show.
We begin each broadcast with our weekly cadet report, sponsored by the Texas A&M Corps of Cadets Association. This segment features the latest news on Corps of Cadets members who have a special story to tell. The segment this week is on Corps of Cadets members who are leaders not only in the Corps, but around the university. We asked them to speak about their respective leadership positions and how they came to serve not only the Corps, but the student body.
My family has been Aggies since the early 19th century.
My great-grandfather was class of 16, my grandfather was class of 52, my father was class of 92, and I will be class of 15. Well, I was in choir all my life, starting, really early, itty-bitty elementary school level, and I went through choir all through high school. When I came to A&M, I was looking to do music a little bit with something, and when I came to A&M, I heard about the Singing Cadets through some flyers and also through my aunt who works here at A&M, and she told me just, go for it, see what happens, and walked in that spring and was able to join the Singing Cadets just right off the bat, so it was a really good experience for me.
I am the chairman of MSC Town Hall, which is the predominant concert programming committee inside of the MSC. We're responsible for a majority of the musical events that come to campus, as well as a variety of other entertainment events. After all the experience I've gained from being an exec and then chair in Town Hall, as well as being a senior in the Corps of Cadets, I've learned that leadership is dependent on the situation. Depending on where you are and the people you're around, you have to utilize different styles of leadership in order to have the best results with your subordinates.
Yes, sir. I sing tenor too. I'm usually front and center because I'm pretty short. But I actually get to speak at the beginning of each concert. So I direct a piece, and then I also speak, and I tell a really crummy joke. But I'm also part of the barbershop group that we have for the Singing Cadets. So you can find me all over the place, usually in the group. There's a really nice company that I'm trying to get an internship with right now that helps performing groups actually go abroad, which would just kind of tie in everything that I love doing. So be able to incorporate music and travel, that's my whole life goal. So I'd really love to get involved with that.
Thanks to the cadets that joined us this week. Each week at this time, we will have a trivia question on Texas A&M University or the Aggie Band. Below is the second question for the season, and it relates to the original construction of Kyle Field. Stay tuned for the answer at the end of this broadcast.
The success of any organization, no matter their longevity, is based upon the ability to recruit new members and to enlarge their membership. And so that is true with the Corps Cadets here at Texas A&M. Up until about 2011, for about 3 years, the Corps had been hovering at about 1,800 cadets with very little growth. Thanks to the new commandant who was appointed that year, General Joe E. Ramirez, Jr., class of 79, the Corps Cadets embarked upon a new strategy to recruit more students to join the Corps Cadets. When membership in the Corps Cadets became optional in 1963, the recruiting and retention efforts took on greater importance. Add the increased academic requirements for admissions to the university, the ability to grow the Corps Cadets faced increased difficulties. The university understands that when a new student comes to Texas A&M, convincing that young man or woman to accept the stoic lifestyle of a cadet is a challenge. Yet with the appointment of General Joe E. Ramirez, class of 79, as the commandant, the approach and the techniques to recruiting and retaining cadets has paid off. The strategy set out by the Commandant's office and worked out with the cadet leadership has proven to be successful. The last 3 freshman classes that have come into Texas A&M have been consecutively larger than the one before them. And this year, the freshman class that came in, it'll be the class of 2018, is the largest class incoming they've had in over 40 years. In fact, 890 freshmen showed up, and now the Corps totals over 2,500 cadets in total membership. We had a chance to talk to the young lady who's in charge of recruiting on Corps staff, and she gave us an idea of how they've gone about being so successful over the last few years.
Let's speed it up. Left.
My position is head Corps recruiting officer, and basically I applied for this position, and it was a long process for me to get selected, but now I'm pretty much in charge of everything recruiting, and I talk with the university and many different high schools to get people to come on campus and stay with us and get interested in our program. Recruiting to me is like a great program because I love talking to people. I love like recruiting people into like our world and trying to get them to experience what we've gone through and have them have the same experience that I've had. The prospects that come and spend the night with us, sometimes they get a little worried that it's a little too much for them, and we just, comfort them and tell them that, it's not for everybody, but we would love for them to like accept that challenge and like really pursue like the hard part of life, because sometimes it really pays off, and we look at more of like in the future what this really does for us and what it makes us really good leaders and stuff like that. And so we look more towards less of the everyday life and more towards the bigger aspect of life. A lot of females, when they come into the Corps, they're really nervous about going into a male environment, and we as females have set up a great support system for each other. We have sometimes monthly like banquets and questionnaires and stuff like that for them to really connect with other females so that they don't feel alone in the program. To get great cadets, we get people to come visit campus as much as possible. I think getting to the campus itself is the main want to be a cadet, is when they get to experience it before so they know what they're getting into. We look for highly motivated cadets or prospects and for kids who have done really well academically in their high school career so far. Most kids, when they come to A&M and join the Corps, they're really nervous about working out with their units and also going to classes. And so we give a lot of guidance to, it's not going to be that bad, or, and we'll prepare them for the best of our abilities and help them get through the everyday life.
Rather than ignore the challenges that the university was going through in terms of diversity and higher academic standards, the Corps Cadets has actually used that to their advantage to attract outstanding young men and women to come into the Corps Cadets. When an old Army ag may say to me, well, it's not as tough as when I was there, I counter them, it's harder to get into Texas A&M, and it's harder to stay in Texas A&M because of the high academic standards. So there are great things going on for the keepers of the spirit, the Corps Cadets, and in one of our future shows, we're going to bring you the news about the improved housing and academic support that's going to happen again for the Corps Cadets in the next 2 years. The press coverage and media on the Corps Cadets' growth over the past few weeks has been very positive, but it didn't just start within the last few months. It's actually been a process over the last 3 years. In fact, former President Bowen Laughlin gave the charge to Commandant Ramirez to grow the Corps to 2,600 cadets by the year 2020. As you can tell already, the Corps is well on its way to achieving that goal. One of the concerns the Commandant had, though, was making sure that the individual outfits didn't become too large or too unwieldy, and he also wanted to give as many cadets a chance to be leaders as possible. To that end, over the last 3 years, the General has reactivated 10 units within the Corps Cadets. This summer, he reactivated Company G2 and Squadron 11, along with the 3rd Regiment. We had a chance to talk to the 2 commanding officers about the challenge they face bringing these units back to life in the Corps Cadets.
What it means to be a CEO, to me it means a lot, being able to have that direct impact on freshmen's lives, being able to influence them and trying to make them successful, as well as the sophomores and juniors.
To be selected as the commanding officer of Squadron 11, I applied for leadership in the spring, and the Commandant's staff and last year's key leaders chose me and Jacob Czar as the CEO and first sergeant for Heavens 11, and then from there we picked the rest of our staff. Squadron 11 is going to be a STEM outfit we are going to be focused on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics majors. So we've created an environment for the freshmen and upperclassmen to study with their peers with all of these majors, since they are difficult majors.
You know, originally I kind of was a little apprehensive. No one likes to leave the outfit they've been with for 3 years, leave all their buddies and that kind of thing. But, you know, once I realized that really is a great opportunity to kind of step in, kind of lay the groundwork and start basically a brand new outfit, it turned out to be pretty exciting. Our objectives are the main thing: to establish a long-lasting culture in order to build G2 up to be successful in the future. And also we want to be academically successful. We want to post hopefully one of the higher GPAs in the Corps, get up to a 3.5 in this, or 3.25 in the spring if we can. And we also want to try to win some awards, so we're gunning for Hawkmouth and Cadet Challenge this year.
The alumni of Squadron 11 are doing very well. They are alive and well. They've been the rock for Jacob and I. First night that we found out we were in charge, we found them on Facebook. We found about 100 of them, and they welcomed us with open arms. They've been very supportive of us. We had a big luncheon right before the reactivation ceremony, and we've gotten to know them, and they have been very supportive and are excited for our reactivation.
It means a lot to me to be able to bring back to life something that the alumni have, you know, been missing for the last few years. They haven't had that connection back with the Corps Connection Texas A&M like other alumni current outfits do. So, you know, it means a whole lot to be able to reactivate that and give those alumni that connection.
The growth in the Corps of Cadets has come from a multitude of factors. First, the outstanding young men and women who decide to be something better and take the challenge to join the Corps of Cadets. It also comes from the leadership of the university administration, and finally the guidance by the Commandant's office, specifically General Joe E. Ramirez Jr., class of '79. The general was recently quoted as saying, "By reactivating units with history and tradition that are already part of Texas A&M, we bring the past and the present together."